Hello there, and welcome to day number 81 on the Road to 2000 ELO Rapid Series. I actually tried recording this video a little bit earlier and forgot to hit the record button, but I actually won that game, so we're now at 1812 ELO. And we're playing an Open Sicilian in this one against an 1889. This might be the toughest opponent I've ever faced on this series. And so let's see what we can do. We're playing an Open Sicilian. After this E5 move, I'm thinking of either going knight d3 or knight f3. Um, let's knight b3. I don't really see any future for my knight. Let's go back to f3 here. And we're gonna try to get another win going, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I'd love to develop the bishop onto maybe c4, create pressure on this, but the knight's not ever stepping in here. So maybe instead what I'll do is just bishop e2, anticipating something like this. Although that's not a threat because I can just play h3. Let's just go bishop c4 just because it seems like a natural square for the bishop to want to go towards. You never know. There's always ideas sometimes of playing something like bishop takes pawn. And now, I mean, this does become an idea, although they just castle. So perhaps I'll just castle as well first. Bishop g5 should be considered, doesn't really do anything as of yet. And knight here, yeah, there's no ideas after castling. So I'll just castle myself. Make sure we're not missing anything that my opponent's going to try. Okay, fantastic. So we have a position where maybe I'll play something like bishop e3. That does maybe weaken this pawn on e4 though, because I can't bring a rook in to defend. But I think that should be okay. If this rook ever steps in, I always have knight here as an idea, setting the rook back. What are my ideas in a position like this? I'm not too familiar with positions like these. Knight here could be something to try, but I hang the pawn. So maybe I can go rook e1 first. I should definitely develop this bishop, and now I can probably pretty readily trade trade knights. So let's do that. If queen takes bishop, I take their bishop. If knight takes my knight, well then I take with the bishop, and I keep the bishop on the board. I can even take with the queen, technically. So let's do this. See if they decide to take my bishop, which they can do, but then I would get rid of both their bishops, so they're not doing that. I could take with the queen, I could take with the bishop, I can't take with the pawn. Here, taking with the queen keeps their rook immobilized, but it also leads to bishop e6 being nasty, so I'm going to take with the bishop. And actually, this bishop is on an outpost. There's no pawns that can kick it out, so staying solid with this bishop here and keeping this e4 pawn might be a good strategy. I'm going to probably play c3 here, just making that knight look a little silly. Do I have any better moves to consider? I don't see any yet. So yeah, just c3, not letting the knight come in. Although the knight coming in doesn't really do anything. Maybe just a3, probably. Knight here I really don't mind. I'll gladly take. a3 prepares b4, which also doesn't really do anything, but I can play b4, c5 and just take space and have that be my advantage. Oh, now after bishop takes, pawn takes, we can send the knight back, which looks probably pretty promising. Let's see. So bishop takes, I mean, that could be a weakness to exploit. Knight here could be promising. Knight there, queen there. Something to consider. Bishop takes, pawn takes. It does open up their rook, but it weakens their king considerably. Let's go for this. Let's go for this. Now I'm thinking knight here. I could trade the bishops off first, and I think I like the look of that. There's no way to keep the bishops on the board. They can take back with a knight. I really don't mind that too much. Let's go for this. If they play rook takes, no, it's not a threat. Rook takes, just simply bishop takes, and then queen takes. So there's no sacrifice there, no exchange sack on the board. Yeah, we're going to trade off a few of the minor pieces, and we're going to trust the fact that we're probably a little bit better here, given the pawn structure and the king safety. It's not convincing as of yet, but you never know. If bishop takes, knight takes, we're actually threatening a fork here. Maybe I could have got knight here right away. And that would have enticed them to play bishop takes, and maybe I would have had a bishop on the board, but I like my knight right now on the board. I think it's going to create threats, especially with the queen able to come in quickly onto h5. Although queen h5 and knight simply h6 from them, and then I don't know. Okay, but I thought this doesn't work. This bishop takes. And I'm not sure where the rook is going to go. Oh, okay, but now I have bishop takes pawn. I'm pretty sure that this is good for me. Okay. Interesting. So, now we're in a situation where this pawn on b2 is hanging. I could just play b4. Actually, they're threatening mate. Well, not mate, but they're threatening something. Now the question, as usual, is do I care? If queen here, there could be ideas of trapping the queen. Because after this, well, I guess they have this square. Okay, I gotta think relatively fast. I don't want to allow this. Well, actually, do I really care? I'm not sure. Okay. First off, I have to find a plan to escape with my bishop. Queen here, bishop here could be pretty promising. But after this, I don't think it does much. If I just play this, takes here, they can't take this pawn, and I have this as an idea. Let's go for b4. Let's go for b4. You can take my pawn. I'll play bishop c5 eventually. And it leads to some type of symmetry. They have doubled pawns on the e file. I have the open d file. I guess they have rook here, but then just bishop c5. Actually, bishop c5 doesn't work. Rook there is a fantastic move. Should have thought of that. What would I do in that case? Bishop here. Rook takes, bishop takes. Actually, no. That leads to equal stuff. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. They're probably taking this pawn anyways. And after that, I probably play king h1, rook here, bishop c5, or rook takes, bishop takes. Maybe I'm worse after that. Maybe. I actually think I am worse. Because I think I might be down a minor piece. The line I'm considering is queen takes, king h1, rook d8, bishop c5, rook takes on e1. Yeah, only move. Yeah, okay. This is what I was thinking. Can I just play rook here first? No, I can't. Queen takes, rook takes, rook takes. I lose the bishop. So bishop here is what I was thinking. So rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes. There probably should be played. And yeah, I lose a minor piece. Okay, let's think about this one. Can I play rook here? Maybe I can just keep the queen, the bishop on the board, and they just double up. So bishop here doesn't work. We've established that. Rook takes doesn't work either, because the queen can get away. Bishop out, rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes there, rook takes here, rook takes. Yeah, I'm just down a piece. What's my best attempt at keeping the game alive here? If I just move my queen out of the way, they double up. Maybe I could go rook here. You can try that. Here, there. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Because I don't know. I mean, I know the other line doesn't work. Okay, well, now maybe I have bishop here, actually. So we'll try this. The queen can take with check. The queen can also take my rook first. Queen takes rook. Rook takes back. Rook takes queen. Pawn takes back. But this is still playable. Rook here I like a little less. I also am running out of time. Uh-oh. We'll do this. With my idea being that if rook takes, bishop takes, and we're fine. Queen takes. Maybe we can even play queen takes rook. This should still be playable. If queen takes rook, rook takes back, rook takes, and we just lose a pawn, it's not the end of the world. I am very low on time, though. That is the problem. That is the big caveat that I have to consider. Although they do have the doubled pawns on the e file, so even being down a pawn is not it's not that bad. All things considered, hopefully they take their time thinking about this. They don't. Okay. And so let's go rook here. We're threatening mate. They're probably gonna have to go all the way back to stop this. They can push a pawn, I guess. I would love if they take. Okay, so they push a pawn. We'll check anyways. King moves out of the way. We'll push our own pawn. If they take this pawn, I have b5. That might be a move. I'd have to calculate. I think it is a move, though. I had to play this to get out of back rank ideas. Even though the bishop can block, I just didn't like bringing my bishop all the way back to g1 and keeping it trapped there. And you know, I have the better activity, I think. Although I guess I can't ever go after this pawn, at least not easily. I'd have to go here first. So maybe that's not that great. He's thinking. It's a good sign. This knight is pretty locked in. That's also a good thing for me. They could probably play a5. But a5 I can play b5. a5 takes here. Okay, they're doing this instead. So I'll have to go here. Oh! Oh, man, I didn't think about... Okay, I'm resigning. Yeah, I didn't have enough time. Yeah, that's rough. Was it equal before this? We'll take a look at the analysis. Fun game. Fun game. Let's see what could have been different there. Okay, so look at the game. We had e4 and c5 here. The Sicilian by my opponent. Knight f3 played by me, and I like to play this Open Sicilian type of setup where after d4, when they take back, and this is the open variation of the Sicilian defense. After a6, knight c3, e5. White's actually plus 0.7 according to the eval, so that's kind of surprising here. Knight f5 considered the best move. I didn't know about knight f5 because I thought, okay, worst case, what if bishop takes, pawn takes back? I just didn't like this sort of setup. I thought this pawn on f5 could be an easy target. But I guess if you try to go after it, well, there's one way to do it. Knight e7 maybe is probably the best way to do it. You could also bring the queen in. You go knight h6, but that looks terrible. Then you can just play bishop g5, pinning the knight. which leads to this. I'm kind of surprised this is that good for white. I don't know. It seems like you're giving up the center to black. It seems like you're, you know, weakening one of your pawns. But I guess you do have the bishop pair. They lose it for nothing. They have a hard time probably developing their pieces after 97 blocking in their own dark squared bishop. So, I can see this being pretty good for white. Trying to understand why though. Like bishop g5, probably I would assume. Okay, f6 is apparently terrible. Oh well, f6. You have queen h5 check, I assume. Yeah, okay, that checks out. So okay, not f6. Okay, well in that case I can see it. Maybe knight bc6. Do you have f6? Yeah, okay, you do. Okay, well, interestingly enough, I'll keep that in mind for next time. But I decided to just play knight f3 here, and this leads to a balanced game. And yeah, we got pieces developing on both sides, castles on both sides. Rook e1 here, trying to play a knight move, and I would try to play knight d5 specifically. And here I went for it. After knight takes, bishop takes, still equal, and now knight c6 apparently an inaccuracy, and the best move is a3. Okay, funnily enough, I've played a good move there. And here, trading is okay, not amazing, and I thought trading bishops was going to be good for me. And here they made a mistake, actually. So after bishop takes, rook takes on f3, and bishop takes on e7, the rook sliding back is good, but actually, okay, it's not that big of a mistake. White's still slightly better. And taking the pawn on d6 is not the way to go, interestingly enough. Apparently the best move is bishop h4, just keeping your bishop on the board and playing this long term. And this is the reason why this queen b6 move that I did not consider. Very nice move. Targets both the b2 and the f2 pawns, so I'm not actually up a pawn for real. And here I decided that my f2 pawn didn't really matter, while that should not have been my deduction according to the engine. I instead tried to keep my b pawn on the board, playing b4. They obviously take on f2, and played this rook d8, which I only saw after having pushed my b pawn. And here, actually, I can just play c4. Because this is not a direct threat. And c5 just solidifies the bishop really, really nicely. Yeah, and well, okay, I don't know what black's supposed to do. Apparently, knight a7, but then just c5. And I guess you just bring your knight into the game and you just start harassing with your knight. Perhaps that's it, or maybe even targeting the bishop. But it's equal for all intents and purposes. And so, yeah, I decided to instead bring my queen onto d3 because I saw that they could double up their rooks, but I thought bishop c5 gave me chances. They trade the queen for the rook, take back, and then they trade the rook for my queen. And they end up being up a pawn here. After rook f1, there's still drawing chances for me. It's only minus 0.6, even though I'm down a pawn in an endgame. But I could have done a better job of trying to prove it. Here, pushing the h pawn is the way to go, apparently. Either the h or the g pawns. Why? Maybe what you want to do is you want to just close in the king's space. Perhaps. Or maybe even just break through with one of these pawns, and you're targeting the king with your pieces. Maybe you want to bring your pawns into the attack. I decided to just send in a check. I played h3 here to prepare g4. Maybe I should have just played g4 right away. And here I was down to 1 minute on the clock, and I just mindlessly took the pawn. And yeah, there's not much to see here. Apparently, the drawing move. So to be fair, this move is nice because I can't play bishop d6. I can't play bishop e7. The best move is going to be rook c6, actually, which is a nice move because now after pawn takes, rook takes, and it's it's a draw. It's pretty. I don't know if it's clearly a draw. You probably want to take on a3 so that I can't take this pawn on a6. Here I take with my b pawn, and I'd be targeting two different pawns. I guess you could bring your king onto f6 to defend both of them at the same time, but then I'd probably just try to push this all the way as far as I can, and then try to give a check. So here, let's say you get a little pawn running contest. King e7, one of the moves. I would play rook c3 probably. I'll probably play a4. Could I? No, okay. a4 doesn't work because of rook c7. Huh. Okay. Interesting enough. Rook here. Pawn here. And you have to move this king somewhere. If, for example, you push a pawn, well, then this is completely winning for white. But, yeah, okay. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. But it is probably a draw. And, yeah, I just didn't think about it. Sucks, but it is what it is. I'll show you all the other game I played as well before this that I didn't record because I forgot to hit a button. So you can see how I initially got to 1812, I believe. So in this one, I played with the black pieces, and I actually played against the 4-knight Scotch, which is my opening of choice with white. And after d4 here by my opponent, I take back, and the knight takes back. I played the best move in the position, which is bishop b4, the most testing move. This indirectly targets the pawn on e4, because if bishop takes, then the e4 pawn is free for the taking. Here, they decided to go bishop g5, which is a way to prevent this. But after h6, and bishop takes on f6, I'm actually a decent bit better. Queen takes back on f6 is the idea, and now here they definitely make a mistake with knight takes on c6, and I fail to capitalize on this. What I missed is that instead of taking back the knight on c6, which is what I ended up doing, I could have taken on c3 with check, and after pawn takes back, now I have queen takes on c3 with check as well. Queen d2 cannot be played. If queen d2 is played, I take the rook on a1. And so you have to move the king, which is terrible, obviously. And now I can take this knight with any of these. I'd probably prefer to take with a d pawn, so I can have the bishop g4 check come in, or just bishop maybe e6 to c4, maybe even with a b pawn and play bishop a6 check. So yeah. This is not what happened in the game. After knight takes on c6, I took back with the queen. It's still decent, because they played queen d3 here. Here, they should have played queen d4, apparently. Queen d3 allows me to take on c4 without having to worry about the g7 pawn being hanging. And now, if they take back with the queen, I take on e4 with check. So they take back with the pawn, and I castle safely. So black is definitely a little bit better here. It's not completely winning though. I have to prove it. And I start off strong by going rook e8, attacking the pawn on e4. After f3 is played, which is the only move to defend the pawn, that is any good because, for example, if bishop f3. For example, trying to defend this pawn, now d5 can actually be played, which adds an attacker to the pawn. Queen takes is not something to play, even though it looks like you can. Queen takes back, and there's a pin. So here, f3 is the move. Afterwards, I decided to go queen b6 with the idea of preventing castling. Apparently, the way to prove my advantage would have been rook e5, with the idea of going rook c5, and attacking this pawn in a way that can't be stopped. I don't know. Yeah, is there a way to stop this? I don't think so. I don't think there's a way to stop this. If you try to castle, which seems like the natural move, well, there's no stopping that. Apparently the best option is queen d4. That doesn't seem to stop rook c5 as an idea, though. Okay, well, I guess now you have maybe c4? d4 is not a move, apparently. King d2 is the way to keep this pawn on the board. Doesn't look very convincing. Also, you're lining up with your queen with your rook. The ideas here are pretty strong. You can maybe even go d5 right now, which the engine actually says is the second or third best move. Interesting. Here I went queen b6, and they offered a trade of queens. I wanted to keep my queen on the board, so I went queen b2, attacking the rook, threatening the pawn on c2. They played the best move in the position, which is the castle, and I took the pawn on c2. It gets a little scary though. Bishop b5, bishop c4, sorry, is a nice attempt at trapping the queen, because I mean, if you look carefully, the queen has no squares, no squares, no squares, and literally only just this square and on a4 and this square on b2. And the square on a4 is an illusion because now bishop takes on f7 comes in and you lose your queen. So, you know, thankfully I saw that. I played queen b2. And after the rook comes on to b1, they probably should have played rook a b1. Maybe they were thinking they were protecting this pawn, but it was already defended by their bishop. But yeah, anyways, it's not a big difference. So rook b1, queen a3, and they played rook b3 here, which lets my queen come back. And here, wait, actually, should they have played, what should they have played here? e5 or h3? Okay, I mean, I was thinking rook b4. I was thinking rook b4 because my queen is pretty locked in now. I can probably play queen a5. I don't know if it's what I would have done. a5 is a much better option. Queen a5 seems to be a move. But then after rook b5, and my queen's just forced to move again. So, anyways, here I brought my queen back to e7. They went rook e1 and b6 by me. And after rook b5, I played this bishop a6 move, which is not the best move. Okay, well, now it's given a star. I don't know why. But I just saw that, yeah, this kind of forces a trade of bishops. Wherever the rook goes, I can just trade the bishops. After queen takes back, c6 is played by me. Here, the best thing to do would have been going all the way back with the rook. Doesn't look very intuitive. And here, I played queen e6, which throws away my advantage completely. Apparently b5 is very good. It does force the queen back, either to b3 or, you know, back somewhere here. But I was like, oh, let me just get the queens off the board. If they don't take this trade, then I'm going to take the pawn on e2. If they do take this trade, I take back with the d pawn. And I'm just up a pawn in this endgame. What I missed is that they're probably going to double their rooks, and then it becomes very hard for me to actually win this game. I'd probably try to go king f8, king e7, but then they have rook check, and then they just take my king back, and it's going to be very hard for me to actually prove that I'm better here, even though the engine says I'm slightly better. So that's not what happens, though. The queen steps back, and now the pawn on a2 is hanging. I decided not to take it right away, though. Instead, what I do is go d5. So d5 is actually a nice move because now they can't take, because they lose the rook. They obviously shouldn't take with the rook because this. So they have to do something, and they decide to go rook d1. Here, this lets me take the pawn on e4, and then also the pawn on a2, and also trade rooks, which is a fantastic scenario for me. I'm just up 2 pawns now in this game. I decided to offer a trade of bishops, queen e6, defending the pawn on c6 as well. Here, queen b7 attacks my rook and also attacks the a7 pawn. I could have just brought my queen back to c8 or to e8, for example, and kept everything defended. But I decided to just let him take the pawn, go into this, and I assumed I was winning. If they take on b6, I'm just happy to trade the queens. And here, I'm completely winning because I have the passed c-pawn and also the pawn majority on the king side. A nice win, nothing too crazy, but a very high accuracy game, both games actually. Played with 86% accuracy in both games, so I can't be too mad about that, and hopefully we're going to keep some good momentum rolling, and hopefully some more wins to come. Thanks for watching. If you've gotten this far, I hope you enjoyed. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you all soon. I'm also going to be streaming some Blitz games. I'm going to be trying to get to 2,000 Blitz as well, which is going to take way longer. I'm only like 1,400 something Blitz. But we're going to put that effort in, and I'll be streaming that on Twitch and on YouTube. So be sure to check that out as well. Hopefully, I'll see some of you in the chat there. And if not, hopefully you can leave a comment and let me know what you think about these videos. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.